Hey everybody, we picked up this Cuisinart Convection bread maker. This is a model CBK-200, our second bread maker this month from Amazon for $160. Our first one was a Breadman, which turned out pretty good except for the fact we were losing Teflon after the third batch. We didn't like that at all and returned it. So you're going to find there's going to be a lot of Breadman comparisons in this video. We got a lot to do, so let's get started. First, the unboxing. Manual and recipes. Measuring cup, measuring spoon, mixer, and bread pan. I think we got it all, right?
Yep.
Fair warning that it may smoke the first time you use it. It's good of them to let you know. Here's the mixer. It's metal with a non-stick coating, significantly larger than the Breadman, but doesn't swivel like the Breadman does. The pan is Teflon coated. I wish they had an option for stainless steel. I'm checking this detent. This is where it failed on the Breadman. Everything seems good out of the box. Go around and check the other side too. Make sure everything's okay before we begin. Like the Breadman, this also comes with a measuring cup and measuring spoon, but the quality on this one is not nearly as good as the quality of measuring cup and measuring spoon that you found on the Breadman. The documentation is laid out in the same format as the Breadman. On one side, we have this recipe booklet you can flip through, and they're broken up into a logical order. The recipes allow for the ingredients, the order that the ingredients go in, and the mode that you're going to use for them. Now, if you close the book and flip it over in the other direction, it becomes the instruction manual for the bread machine. Now, while it's a good idea to read an instruction manual for the bread machine anyway, because nobody instinctively knows how to use a bread machine, there are things in this manual that did not exist for the other machine that were really important, and this one in particular, the timetable for each mode was significantly important, especially for the whole wheat, because we didn't know that nothing would happen when you turned it on in the last machine. There was no documentation to let you know this. You're well aware for whole wheat, regardless of size, regardless of light, medium, dark, there's going to be a 30-minute wait for soak, and the next steps could be 3 minutes, the next steps could be 25 minutes. Everything's drawn out for you. You know exactly what's going to happen. And this is for every mode. This is fabulous. Preheat, need to, rise. Also tells you when you're going to be adding stuff into the machine. Absolutely fantastic. Our first recipe with the Breadman was destroyed because of a typographical error. You can see that the water never increased with the yield. And we had found more than one recipe with this issue. So in this book, we did skim through several of them to do a spot check and see if there were any issues like this, and didn't find any. The boss wanted to go with our corrected recipe from Breadman as a control, so we're going to do that recipe in this bread machine and see what we get. The mixer is of course keyed. We're going to drop that in now. Our liquid contents have been brought together to about 80 degrees, and now we're going to pour those in first, followed by the honey, and then the salt, and then the whole wheat flour, and then on top of that would be the bread flour. With everything flat, I'll make a small crater right in the middle and pour the yeast in. We'll plug the machine into the wall. This machine has no on switch, unlike the Breadman. Lower our container full of contents into the machine. It'll lock into place by pressing it down. Before I run to push this handle all the way down, I consider what happened the last time when the bread actually expanded up and through the handle during the cooking process. I can no longer use the handle. It was a real pain to get out of the machine, so I'm not going to do that. Leave it on an angle. And we're going for whole wheat in that setting, number 3. Set the mix-ins to on. That's just a notification. The other bread machine actually had an automatic feed for the mixer on top of the unit. This one doesn't have it. And we're going to set it for large loaf, 2 pound.
2 pound.
And we'll set the crust to medium. We'll just cycle back through to medium over here.
Crust is medium.
Have the seeds on standby. Just going to do the soak phase for what, 30 minutes? Indicated by preheat in the cycle. So by around 4 hours left, it should start kneading. We'll come back. 30 minutes in at the 4-hour mark, the soak phase ended and the process began. Notice it doesn't fully grab everything on the sides of the machine. We'll come back to this. Our mixing alarm just went off, so we're going to open up the cover, we're going to put in the seeds, and we can see at this point, still on the side of the machine is still raw unmixed dough as we pour this in. Again, I'm not changing anything at this point. I'm letting the machine do everything on its own. And we still have seeds along the side, which are not mixed in. Just sort of whips around, kind of touches them, but never incorporates all the seeds into the mixture during this phase. It's only going to run for a certain amount of time like this. I'll open it up a while later, and you can see that the seeds are being incorporated. It's being mixed around, but not all those seeds. We still have completely unmixed seeds along the far side of this unit. 230 on rise. Nice. When it ends, the start light will blink, a warmer will run until you shut off the machine. And here's the result. We'll compare this quickly to the Breadman as it was finished in the same recipe at the same time during the process. We'll hit that stop button now to shut off the heater. The slightly raised handle ensured that it didn't become obstructed, so we're able to pull it out with ease. I shake it into the cooling rack. This one does not have a hinged mixer, so the mixers either could be stuck in the bread or it's not. So we're going to turn it over facing upwards, and it did sag up top a little. That happens depending on the mixture, a couple of environmental factors. It doesn't really detract from the bread any. This is compared to the same recipe from the Breadman, and that crater from the Breadman again could have been from some environmental factors of some sort. You're live.
Feels very soft.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Definitely came out good. Here's a cross-section of the bread. Now, as compared to the same bread, cut a slice, look at the cross-section of the one from the Breadman.
It's so soft, right?
It's still very hot, though. You see steam coming out of it? It's like a dragon. On the next go-around, I did find you can get a better mixing the contents if you provide for some assistance with a rubber spatula like I am now, just by pushing some of those contents off the sidewalls that get caught and incorporating it into the mixture. This is also true for the step in the process where you incorporate the seeds. It seems like the dough only wants to sit on one side, so it needs to be pushed to the other side. And then it'll just sit on that other side there, absorbing the seeds, and then after a while, it could be pushed back to the other side, having incorporated the seeds, and then it'll allow it to mix it into the dough consistently. So it's not really an automatic process initially to get everything to mix consistently. Maybe it's because the paddles aren't big enough or the shape of the container. And even with manually mixing the seeds as well as the contents with that spatula, I find overall the bread being more consistent than the Breadman to make. The top crust of the bread is much more difficult to keep consistent than that of the Breadman, which is funny for a convection oven. Steffi decided we're going to try out a hollow loaf as our next objective. Our goal here is to try out a completely different bread recipe and just evaluate the results. She went through the book and selected this one. Be mindful of keeping this handle up. What number?
The sweet bread cycle.
12.
No mix-ins.
Loaf size.
2 pounds.
Crust.
Medium.
Ready? Here's a new one. Let's see how it turns out. This one's only 3.5 hours. As with the previous breads, when it gets to the kneading portion, we're going to come with the rubber spatula and make sure that all the contents are correctly mixed. Right now, we're going to leave it alone. And we can see, just like with the previous bread, there's material on the side that does not get immediately mixed in. I'm not going to wait to see if it does get mixed in. I'm going to use the rubber spatula and work it in so that the mixture is more even. It is possible that as it sits here, it'll slowly get worked in, but I want it to be more consistent, so I'm helping it along. Eventually we can see it does become a dough ball that sort of walks its way around the pan, but there's still material on the walls of the pan that I'm scraping off now. For those wondering, the house is air conditioned and it's 76 degrees. Just at the time rising finished to start baking, we could see its height, but I know it's going to continue to rise, so it's probably going to get taller than this. I moved the handle again to adjust it. That's all. You got to see this. Yep. He's about to push his cover open, huh? Seems that no matter where I put this handle, it's always in the way, but if it was down there, we would have no access to it. Let's shut it off, and we'll remove this challah. We'll try. Oh, not bad at all. It does, but we run into the same issue, well, to some extent on this side. Given this problem, it'd be a lot easier if these handles could simply be detached. It's evident that the real issue is changing the ingredients to control the size of the loaf that's produced. Let it cool, but I'll give this piece to you. Ooh. If I can get it out. Here you go. How's it taste?
It's really good.
Outstanding. We'll cut it open a little bit. I feel like consistently with this bread machine, if we use less yeast, it wouldn't be so high, and this area that touched the window would not be there, and it would cook more evenly. That's what I'm finding with this bread machine. Like, if we used a little less yeast, everything would come out nicer.
Actually, next time I want to try the 1.5 pound loaf, because we went with the max one.
Or a smaller loaf, yeah. But that's why, obviously, when it touches the top, it doesn't fully cook. And that's what that is. I mean, not that it's not fully cooked, it's just not as golden brown as the rest of it. You see the back that doesn't have the window, but all in all, yeah, it came out good. So let's cut it up.
Beautiful.
Wow, that's a challah right there. Yeah. Ladies try one.
Alright.
Yeah, okay, this is as much bread as I usually eat, but here we go, I'll try. It tastes like challah.
I have the not so crunchy side.
Survey says.
It's good.
We have no real good way of wrapping up this video, so we'll say that the Cuisinart bread machine worked out very good for us. We really like the Breadman too, but we could not accept the fact that Teflon was coming off the machine. But aside from the fact that this one did not have Teflon coming out of the machine and the book did not have typos like the other one did, I think this book was better written than the other one as well. Yeah, this is a good machine. We really need to work on slightly less yeast so it doesn't expand in the machine as much. Obviously, environmental conditions do affect the recipe. So the recipes are not static for everybody. It's not one size fits all. That said, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it entertaining and informative. Do me a favor, hit that like button down below. Helps me out a lot when you do. And hit that subscribe button for more videos like this when they come out. When the next video comes out in this series, a link will be posted in the top right corner. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Would you like to reply?
I have no good way of ending a bread video, so I'm going to say that, yeah, this machine worked out good. We're probably, that pretty much ended it with that machine. That said,
Better than store-bought.
we're going to leave this here, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it. And that wraps up this video on this Cuisinart. And then... Shut up. And that's right. We're done here. I stopped recording. Hey, come here, finish your bread.